Welcome back, students. We are going to continue with the review for units 1 and 2. We are on page 28. So please go to page 28, exercise 6, and we'll get started. For exercise 6, I'm going to play the audio. Please listen to the audio and read along in your book. After listening to the audio, we will answer these questions. Okay, here we go.
6A. Listen, read, and mark true or false.
Impressionism, Cubism, and pop art were all new styles of painting that made people think differently about art. Impressionism began in France at the end of the 19th century. The Impressionist painters were very interested in the effects of light on things rather than showing clear, exact details. They didn't paint portraits of important people or the religious scenes that had been common in art in earlier centuries. They painted their families and friends, landscapes and scenes from daily life. Cubism also developed in France. Some people think it is the most important art movement of the 20th century. Cubist artists had a different focus. They wanted to explore new ways to show 3 dimensions, and they used many lines and geometrical shapes. Although Cubist artists painted people, these paintings were very different from traditional portraits. Pop art became popular in the 1960s in the United States. The influences for this movement came from popular culture, for example, comic books and advertising. Pop artists painted portraits as well, but well-known artists like Andy Warhol took photographs of their subjects and turned them into paintings.
Okay, after you finish your work, you should listen to this audio and try to read out loud with the audio. This will help you practice your reading skills, your speaking skills, and your listening skills. So let's go to the questions. Impressionism came before Cubism and pop art. Is this true or is this false? Let's look at the reading. The first one, it talks about Impressionism in the 19th century, Cubism in the 20th. So Impressionism is before Cubism and before pop art. This is later than Cubism. So Impressionism came before Cubism and pop art. That is true. Number 2, the Impressionists painted many portraits of important people. All right, so let's go find that in the reading. Impressionist is here, and it says they did not paint portraits of important people. So the Impressionists painted many portraits of important people. That is false. They did not paint many portraits of important people. Number 3, Cubists were interested in showing their subjects in 3 dimensions. Let's go to the reading. Cubist artists had a different focus, new ways to show 3 dimensions. Very good. So Cubists were interested in showing their subjects in 3 dimensions. Yes, that is true. Number 4, pop art began in France. Let's go to the reading. Pop art became popular in the 1960s in the United States. So pop art began in France. False. Andy Warhol was a famous pop artist. Pop artists painted portraits, but well-known artists like Andy Warhol is a pop artist. So Andy Warhol is a famous pop artist. That is true. When you see well-known, well-known is another way to say famous. If somebody is well-known, that means a lot of people know who they are. All right, let's go to exercise B. Match the two parts of these sentences. So I'm going to read this part, and then I want you to repeat it, and we'll go through all 6. Impressionist did not want. Impressionist did not want. Okay. Pop artists thought that. Pop artists thought that. Okay. Cubist paintings were different. Cubist paintings were different. All right, let's go to this section. Because of their lines, angles, and shapes. Because of their lines, angles, and shapes. Let's go to the next one. A comic book could be a subject for art. A comic book could be a subject for art. Good. And the last one, to show lots of tiny details. To show lots of tiny details. All right, so let's match the parts of these sentences. So impressionist did not want to show lots of tiny details. All right, so let's go back up here. The Impressionist painters were interested in the effects of light on things rather than showing clear, exact details. That is this. Number 2, pop artists thought that a comic book could be a subject for art. All right. Popular culture, for example, comic books. And number 3, Cubist paintings were different because of their lines, angles, and shapes. So in your extra time, you should practice reading these sentences just like this. And then practice reading these with the answers, and then practice reading this section as well. That is everything for page 28. In the next video, we will work on page 29. Thank you for following along.